When people imagine Japan, they usually picture a place that feels full: crowded trains, busy streets, convenience stores on every corner, a country where you're never really alone. But there's another Japan that almost never shows up in travel videos. A Japan where people die and no one notices. They call it Kodokushi, lonely death. It means someone passes away in their apartment, and days, weeks, sometimes even months go by before anyone realizes they're gone. When I first heard that word, I thought it sounded extreme, like something that only happens in very rare cases. But the more I live here, the more I realize Kodokushi isn't rare, it's just quiet. I'm 23. I work in Tokyo. Every morning I get crushed into the same train with thousands of other people, faces everywhere, bodies everywhere. And yet, some of the people standing right next to me will die alone someday, and no one will notice for a long time. That thought stays with me more than I want to admit. In this video, I want to talk about why Kodokushi happens, not as news, not as statistics, but from the inside, from the point of view of someone trying to survive in this system and slowly understanding how easy it is to disappear inside it. Think of this as a quiet walk through the other side of modern Japan, the side that doesn't look good on postcards. Before I start, there's one thing I need to say clearly. I'm not a sociologist. I'm not a journalist. I'm just a 23-year-old salaryman living in a tiny apartment, trying to make rent and keep my head above water. Everything I'm about to say is not a perfect fact. It's a view from inside. So let me walk you through what I think are the real reasons behind Kodokushi, not in theory, in feeling. Reason 1. It's not that people want to be alone. It's that society teaches us how to disappear quietly. In Japan, we grow up learning one very important skill: don't cause trouble. From a young age, we're taught to be easy to deal with. Don't stand out. Don't complain too much. Don't ask for help unless you really have to. At first, that sounds like politeness, but over time, it becomes something else. You stop calling friends because you don't want to bother them. You stop talking about your problems because you don't want to sound weak. You stop asking for help because you don't want to become a burden. Little by little, you train yourself to vanish politely. So when people end up alone later in life, it doesn't happen suddenly. It's the result of years of practicing how to take up less and less space. Kodokushi doesn't start on the day someone dies. It starts on the day someone decides, I'll handle this by myself. Reason 2. It's not independence. It's isolation wearing a good reputation. From outside, Japan looks like a country of strong individuals. People live alone. They work alone. They handle life quietly. But a lot of that independence is actually just isolation that no one questions. Living alone in a tiny apartment in your 20s feels normal. In your 30s, still normal. In your 40s, nobody asks. In your 50s, people just assume that's your life now. By the time you're older, your isolation doesn't look tragic anymore. It just looks standard. And when isolation becomes normal, loneliness becomes invisible. So when someone dies alone, people don't think, how could this happen? They think, oh, I guess that makes sense. That's the scariest part. Reason 3. It's not that people don't care. It's that everyone is too tired to notice. Most people imagine lonely deaths happen because nobody cares. I don't think that's true. I think most people do care. They're just exhausted. In this country, life is heavy. Long hours, low pay, constant pressure. By the time you get home, you barely have energy to take care of yourself, let alone check on someone else. You think, I should call my parents, but you're too tired tonight. I should message that old friend, but tomorrow feels safer, and tomorrow keeps moving. Care doesn't disappear, it just keeps getting postponed. Until one day, someone dies, and all that postponed care turns into regret. Reason 4. It's not that people hate others, it's that asking for connection feels embarrassing. In many cultures, saying I'm lonely is sad. In Japan, it feels shameful. Loneliness isn't treated like a normal human emotion, it's treated like a personal failure. If you don't have friends, people wonder what's wrong with you. If you don't have family around, people quietly judge. If you admit you feel alone, it sounds like you couldn't build a proper life. So people hide it. They turn on the TV for noise. They eat dinner in front of their phone. They talk to convenience store staff just to hear a human voice. But they never say, I'm lonely. And because nobody says it, everyone thinks they're the only one. Kodokushi grows in that silence. Reason 5. It's not sudden death. It's a long process of becoming invisible. When people talk about Kodokushi, they focus on the ending. The body found days later. The shocking headline. But the real story is everything before that. It's the phone that stops ringing. The messages that stop coming. The invitations that stop happening. At some point, you realize nobody would notice if you stayed inside all week, then all month, then all year. You don't disappear in one moment. You fade. And when someone finally dies in that state, society calls it lonely death. But in reality, they were already socially gone, long before their heart stopped. Reason 6. It's not old age. It's the fear of being useless. Kodokushi often gets described as a problem of elderly people. But the real issue isn't age, it's value. In Japan, your worth is deeply tied to what you contribute. Your job, your role, your usefulness. When people retire, something strange happens. They don't just lose work, they lose their identity. The company card disappears. The schedule disappears. The reason to be needed disappears. And when you stop feeling needed, you slowly stop reaching out. Not because you don't want connection, but because you start thinking, I don't have anything to offer anymore. That mindset is deadly, not physically at first, but socially. Reason 7. It's not tragedy. It's the natural outcome of a system that trains people to endure alone. Here's how I see it. Japan is very good at teaching people how to endure, how to be strong, how to not complain, how to survive quietly. But it's terrible at teaching people how to lean on others. So when life gets hard, people don't collapse loudly, they collapse silently. Kodokushi isn't some mysterious social disease. It's the final form of a culture that says, be strong by yourself. If I put all of this together, this is the picture I see. Kodokushi isn't about death. It's about disconnection. It's about people who learned how to survive, but never learned how to stay connected. People who were good workers, good citizens, good at not causing trouble, but not good at asking for help. And I'm scared because I can see how easy it would be for someone like me to end up there one day. I live alone. I work long hours. Some weeks, I barely talk to anyone outside the office. If I stopped showing up tomorrow, how long would it take for someone to notice? That question doesn't feel dramatic anymore. It feels realistic. So what do I do with that fear? I don't have a perfect answer. I'm not brave enough to change everything. I'm not rich enough to escape the system. I'm not wise enough to pretend I understand life, but I've made one small decision. I refuse to disappear quietly, not in a heroic way, not in a dramatic way, just in small human ways. I'll send a message even when I feel awkward. I'll visit my parents even when I'm tired. I'll talk about how I'm really doing, even if it feels uncomfortable. I'll try to build a life where someone would notice if I was gone. That's it. Not to avoid death, but to avoid becoming invisible before it.